Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's my pleasure, my privilege to be in your presence and have the opportunity to speak with you about very important matters. I'm Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, licensed in the state of California since 1974. I've been in practice before that as well, other places. I've been in practice for over 50 years, and I've had the privilege and good fortune to walk upon this earth for over 83 years. And I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to bring to you the insights, lessons, and inspirations of an entire lifetime. I like to tell people I'm 83 years old and I finally know what I'm doing. That's the good news. The title of today's presentation is The Best Ways to Deal with Being Left and Abandoned in a Romantic Relationship. We apply the teachings of honor to everything. So I thought each was getting married, getting divorced, death, life. So I will start off each meeting with reciting the 4 commands of honor, also called the 4 commandments of honor, the 4 principles of honor, and the bridge. So what I'm going to do is, and then people take a pledge to recite these 4 commandments of honor 3 times a day for life with the bridge. So I'll go this way. I wish you well. Just repeat after me. I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. Then one of 2 the commandments, depends whether you believe in God or not. If you don't wish to address God or believe in God, it's, I seek always to serve my highest values. If you believe in God as I do, God, your wish is my only wish. And then it's necessary to repeat that 3 times a day for life. The results affect everything. Honor becomes the gold standard. Not happiness, we're no longer looking for happiness, we're looking for honor. And it turns out honor is the foundation of true happiness. Then we want to optimize the probability of applying the commandments of honor in any situation. So I created the bridge. It's a bridge from the realm of honor to the realm of reality. The bridge is this: what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? So you say the 4 commands of honor and the bridge 3 times a day for life. And the repetition is preparation for application, which will help you achieve stabilization and make you more resilient and develop more wisdom and compassion in you. So we have 3 types of being left in a relationship. One is splitting up. The other is you're together, but one or both of you are checked out. So you've been abandoned because the person's not paying attention to you, doesn't give you the attention you need, is always doing something else. Could be working, it could be on the phone all the time or on the internet, whatever. But you're being abandoned that way. And the third way of being abandoned that we'll talk about is death. Somebody dies, you feel abandoned, and it's a loss. It can be especially, and some people even get angry about that, especially if they feel the person didn't have to die and they were using drugs or alcohol or smoking and they feel they just left them before the time should have been. Now you have in the situation those who are left and abandoned, and then you have those who do the leaving. It's very hard on both. I dealt with so many patients, so many wonderful, beautiful human beings. Sometimes somebody who's leaving the other spouse or significant other, sometimes the woman leaving, sometimes the man leaving. It's hard on the one left, extremely hard. It takes a long time a person's going to be in pain. But I'm going to talk about the best ways of dealing with that. And it's even hard on the one leaving. They may feel some guilt or some ambivalence about doing it, may even shortly feel some regret about doing it, but for whatever reason is taking place. Could have been an infidelity, could have been something else. Many reasons people leave, some basic aversion or incompatibility. The goal is to deal with the abandonment in as honorable way as possible. So if you're the one left, you want to recite this. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. Very powerful. To the extent that a person left and abandoned is angry, that keeps a negative connection to the other person, which oftentimes you can't help. You might feel very betrayed. You're supposed to be together forever, and now the person's going. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. You want to be doing that 3 times a day, and then whenever you think of that person. I'm not going to tell you the pain goes away. I'm just saying this is the best way to deal with it. It's the honorable way to deal with it. You're wishing them well, even though you feel very hurt, betrayed, perhaps even humiliated. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. That allows you to get on with your life. That allows you to get on with your life. That's a medicine, an internal medicine for you. You'll still suffer. It could take 6 months, a year, depends how long you were together and how much you love the other person. It could take 6 months, a year. There's pain. And the goal is to deal honorably with that pain. It could be court proceedings over property, child custody issues. If anything's going to bring out the worst in somebody, it's divorce. I have videos on the honorable way to go through a divorce. The key is that I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. And you seek fairness. You're not seeking revenge. If you seek revenge, it's going to lead to trauma, agony. It could go on for years. But if you make fairness, a fair settlement, a fair parting, or even be generous to whatever extent you can, that will bring you more satisfaction, less regret, more inner harmony. Because when the person leaves, you still have that person in you. So if you're saying all kinds, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to take this from you, I'm not going to let you see your children, whatever you have going on like that, that's keeping you attached in a negative way. So the person's still within you in a very negative way, which will damage you. You're already feeling pain and damaged by having been abandoned and left. This will add to it. So I release you to your destiny. I wish you well. And you're seeking a fair settlement of whatever needs to be divided up. A fair settlement. Not to gain the upper edge, but a fair settlement. That's honorable. Then, of course, you want to look at yourself. You don't want to beat yourself up about it either. You don't want to be angry at the other person, but you don't want to go into guilt and shame, beating yourself up about it. You want to go, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? It's a big loss. It's a tragedy, actually. Actually, it's a tragedy. This is not an easy thing. One of the derivatives of what I call the warrior command of honor, which is, I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship. I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship. I call that the warrior's command or the warrior's commandment, the warrior principle. A derivative of that, what's the best true story I can tell myself from this problem? An example of my own life, I'd been married before, had 4 children, I'd married 15 years with my ex. My wife now, with 34 years, says, I wish I met you before You've been married to her. And I said, no. I said, I wasn't the right person for you then. I had to go through what I went through to be the man I am today so I can be the right person for you. It's worked out beautifully. A lot of times people, when they get together in a relationship, living together, being domestic partners, husband and wife, whatever the story is, a lot of times the original attraction was sexual. I mean, sex was really good. You feel attracted. You like the person's looks. You enjoy their company. That's typically not enough to do it. What you really want is a deep, genuine, honorable person. You need to know their character. And a lot of times, we're not paying attention to that. So if there's no honor, well, if one or both the people are not honorable, the likelihood of the marriage continuing is not great, or the relationship continuing is not really great. A relationship, marriage is very difficult. It takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of loyalty. And even then, serious issues come up, serious misunderstandings, which of course you can grow from that. Now, another derivative of the warrior's command of honor is, I hope to come back much stronger than ever. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. As you go through the suffering, and you want to go through this suffering without becoming bitter. And you don't want it to destroy your trust. Many people that go through this, they said, I thought I was going to always be with this person. How am I ever going to trust another person? How am I ever going to trust another man? How am I ever going to trust another woman? You don't want to destroy your trust. You need to guard that. Trust is a choice. You want to choose to trust by choice. A lot of times people bring the baggage from their past relationship into the new relationship. It takes a long time to realize this person is not like your ex. They're not going to leave you. It takes a while. A lot of insecurities after this. I release you to your destiny. What's the best truth so I can tell myself about this problem? I hope to come back much stronger than ever. These are all powerful thoughts to uplift you, to minimize your suffering. And you need to know this, that you will come through this with more wisdom and more compassion for others going through this. It's absolutely impossible to achieve wisdom, impossible without suffering. This is a deep, profound suffering. It's the loss of a dream of what could have been. Very sad, very powerful, very tragic. So you're going to come back with more wisdom from it. And you'll be able to have compassion and help other people go through that. You can feel compassion for them because you've been through it. Now, if you believe in God, as I do, then you also could have the thought, another derivative of the warrior's command of honor. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. You're going through these situations when you're writing these down. And be ready to use it, or you can help other people going through it, so you can help them with it. Now, if you have a situation where you feel abandoned and left because the person is just not there, they checked out, or they're always preoccupied with something, and you feel neglected, you feel left, abandoned, neglected, even though you're still in the same house, so you technically you're still in your marriage or your relationship. Then you have to be able to share your vulnerability. A lot of people get angry, but anger is a cover for vulnerability. You feel hurt, neglected, and abandoned, and you need attention. And you need to be able to share that with your significant other. You know, I love you. I care about you. That's why I really feel maybe we need to go on a date night or something so it's just the two of us where we can really be together, really see one another, really communicate with one another without any distractions, just the two of us. We need some time for us. And I say that because I need you and I love you. That will create a good outcome. Whereas if a person is just complaining or nagging about it, it can make the other person defensive. But this way, showing your vulnerability, it becomes a very loving thing, and that's respectfully real communication. Respectfully real communication is the honorable way to communicate. It's respectful, and respectful communication, respectfully real communication builds a bridge and a connection, and that's what that would do. Somebody's hurt, they could say, "Oh, you're always on the phone talking to that person. Why don't you just leave here and go move in with them? I don't even, just move out." Well, that's being real, but it's not being respectfully real. So you need the awareness, the knowledge, and the courage to share your vulnerability. True love is not for the weak. Oh, no, no, no. True love is for the strong. That's strength. Very few are really truly capable of it. So these are the best ways of dealing with feeling abandoned or being left. Then, of course, in death, which we all face, whatever partner we have, whatever spouse, one's going to go before the other, and it's going to be hard. And by the way, I should mention that even in a bad marriage or bad relationship, splitting up is really difficult and painful. You would think it wouldn't be, but it is. But now in death, one leaves, one's still here on earth. Of course, if the person believes we're an eternal soul, they can still try to commune with that person, pray for that person's progress, the progress of their soul, tell them how much you love them, you appreciate them, you miss them. And they'll come see you in your dreams, or you might get little promptings once in a while. That could be from them. I've heard many stories to that effect. Now, if the person did all they could to stay alive, took care of themselves, that would reduce any possible anger about it. But if the person violated themselves and didn't stay longer for you, you might find some anger with that person over it. I had a heart attack when I was 61. I used to smoke cigars and didn't inhale it. But my wife wanted me to stop smoking it. And I had this heart attack about 23 years ago. And it was a serious one. But I honestly didn't believe the cigar was a problem. But she really wanted me to stop. And I knew if I didn't stop, she would probably come to my grave and curse at me. So I figured, well, I stopped. The truth is, I thought I'd go back to smoking in 6 months later, but 4 months later, the urge left, and I never smoked again, 23 years later. So you want your significant other to know you did all you could to stay with them. I love you. I'm doing all I can to be here with you, stay with you so you can have me and I can have you. Of course, when I leave, I'll still be with you, but it's going to be a different kind of connection. It's good to have that conversation. When I leave, we'll still have a connection. I'll still be with you. I'll be watching over you. And it might be whatever ways I can do it as a soul, I will do it. Your dreams will be one. Now, the next life is really here, right here, now, but we have a veil separating us. It's sort of like the child in the womb of the mother. It's just dark in there, but they're developing arms and legs and eyes, which are useless in the womb. Can't see anything. You're not going to walk anywhere. and you don't even know there's another world. Right on the other side of that flesh, your mother's flesh of her womb, right on the other side is a whole other world of lights and whatever. Come out, you're born into, you go, wow. I mean, it's a little overwhelming at first. A lot of babies cry at first. But it's an amazing world. Well, the next life, there's another kind of veil, an invisible veil separating us. So when we leave here, we just go on the other side of the veil. And it's right here. Well, it's been my pleasure to present to you the best ways to deal with being left and abandoned in a romantic relationship, whether it's through splitting up or being absent while you're together or through death. So I'm going to open it up to our wonderful, wonderful people that come here, lovely, wonderful, deep, genuine human beings. And keep in mind when I open this up for comments and questions, so many of you have told me the big benefit you get from hearing the other people. So I always say you're going to benefit as much or even more from each other than you have from me. So please feel free to speak up, make any comment you wish, or ask any question you wish. Yes, you.
The wrong person makes you appreciate the right person more.
Yeah, you made a very good point. The wrong person makes you appreciate the right person more. That's got to be a universal truth. That's a truism. The wrong person makes you appreciate the right person even more. I mean, he was married for how many years to Cheryl?
34.
34 years. She passed about 10 months ago. But he was married before, but he really appreciated Cheryl, his wife, because he knows what a bad marriage is. And same for myself. I mean, it certainly affected, I mean, I'm so grateful to be my wife. I tell every day practically, I'm so grateful to have you for my wife. So it's a beautiful thing to have the right person. When you're the wrong person, it's not only bad for you, it's really bad for the other person as well. Good comment. Please feel free to bring up any comments or questions you may have. Everybody wants to hear from you, including me.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. It's Rachel.
Rachel, good to hear from you, Rachel.
Hi. So, I would have to agree with what you said about true love isn't, I've been with my husband since I was 16.
Wow.
And we've almost been married for 20 years. Now, let me tell you, we had to grow up together when there's been ups and there's been downs. But the one thing that we have stayed true to is that we work at it together. Even in the difficult times, because we've seen so many people around us that even though they're hurting, it was easier for them to walk away than and I'm not saying that it's bad to walk away. There's definitely toxicity, but if you can work it out, you can stick it out, and it's not toxic, it's definitely worth it in the end, because you just really have a different appreciation for each other.
That kind of commitment is beautiful and rare, but it's a beautiful thing. That's true commitment. Thanks for sharing that, Rachel. Let me share a little poem that I wrote about this. For all have been left and abandoned, the fall of autumn leaves, two sparrows on barren trees, sunsetting glow, do we really have to say goodbye? I'll never understand. Why do you have to leave? Was it all just a show? Who will hold my hand? Do you really have to go? Will you really disappear? The fall of autumn leaves, two sparrows on barren trees, eager for spring to reappear. The great sadness in that. I ended it with a little bit of hope, because you're waiting for spring to reappear and love will come again. Everybody wants to give love and receive love, so there's an amazing amount of love in this world. People want to give you love and receive your love, so that time will come. Thank you for your input, Rachel. Who else would like to ask a question or make a comment?
Dr. Nerenberg, it's Fernando. I just had a quick comment.
Yes, Fernando.
Yeah, just I appreciate the comment you made about your partner, your current partner, saying they wish they would have met you earlier, and you saying that you pretty much weren't the same person. You wouldn't have been compatible with them. I think the compatibility is really important with partnership. Because the timing of meeting people and who we are at that moment determines what kind of relationship we're going to have with them in the future.
Absolutely. It was. I just hadn't developed enough. I hadn't matured enough to be the right person for her. And going through that helped bring me there. That's the beauty of these trials and tribulations. It removes a veil. It's an impetus for us to grow. Without these tragedies and difficulties, we wouldn't grow. So it's a blessing, but like many blessings, it doesn't look that way at the time. Thank you for that, Fernando. I always appreciate your input, always.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. It's Mina. How are you?
Hey, Mina. So,
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing up the fact that being healthy is also part of being in a relationship. Even your body, your health, it's part of that exchange. It really meant a lot, actually.
If you truly love that person, you don't want to become a burden. It's not just our deaths that's going to be difficult for the other person, but becoming disabled through diabetes or heart attacks or whatever, and we can't get around as much, and then that person has to be taking care of us. Well, if you do all you can and that happens, well, that's one thing. But if we violated ourselves and then we actually co-created this person's hardship by what we did to ourselves. So if you truly love your family, you truly love your significant other, it's your responsibility, it's a matter of honor to take the best possible care you can of yourself so you don't become a burden and you don't impose the loss of yourself on this person. So taking care of your health is an act of love. Taking care of your health is an act of love. Glad you brought that up. Thank you so much. It's really inspired me to speak further on it. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, doctor. This is Georgina. How are you?
Georgina, welcome.
Welcome, doctor. Well, you said something about grief. I've been divorced for 12 years already, and even though he's alive, I feel that my grief is still not over because I did truly love this man. Everything happened so fast.
Was there an infidelity? Was it an infidelity or something else?
You know what? It was drugs.
Oh, okay.
It was drugs, and due to that, like, not even 3 months later, I found out he was with somebody else. Now that I'm divorced, I found out that he probably even has more kids out there, and it's very sad because these kids probably live on the same block where I still live. And
so you've never met somebody else since?
I do have a relationship still, but the grief is still there.
Mm.
And this is a wonderful man that I'm with, but it's just like there was just so much hurt, so much damage done to my children and to me. But now that my kids are grown, I'm talking like over 21. I have a 27-year-old, 26, and a 22. He seems to try to come. He comes around now, and it's like, my kids don't need you now. When my kids were small, they needed you, and you weren't around.
So he not just abandoned you, he abandoned his children.
Yeah, he abandoned his children also, But right now, I'm at the point that my 22 is my youngest. He is a boy. And he always says, my dad abandoned me. And I really can't tell him yes or no. And I don't want to be the one to step up and be there and tell him, well, he abandoned you, because my son knows he abandoned him,
Well, let me say this to you. you want to be repeating, I release you to your destiny and wish you well.
Yes.
You got to be repeating that. And tell your son, marry wisely. You want somebody not just for the sex, but somebody who has character and is honorable. So I want you to learn a lesson from what we went through here. In terms of his relationship now with his father, feels abandoned, which is true, he was. But you know, when your son marries and has children, his father might be a great-grandfather to his children, even though he wasn't a good father to him. But he might be a great-grandfather, a wonderful grandfather to the children, to your son's children when he has children. So,
well, this is the thing. My son, he got in a relationship. He has a 2-year-old little boy now.
Okay.
But it's just a long story short, the mom got in between the relationship once the baby was born, because money-wise, economic-wise, it was best for her and her family for the baby to be over there because she was getting assistance or whatever. You know, it's just a very sad story that I have, you know, with me, with my son. Son's gone through.
It is a sad story for you, for your son, and it's not that uncommon. I've seen it many times. You know, you might at least think about whether your son wants to reach out and involve his father with his grandson. Maybe he could give his grandson what he didn't give to his son. It's just something to think about. I'm not in your situation, but I give you this as something to consider. You know, if he has an ally, there's another man out there, his grandfather, who's going to be there for him emotionally, spiritually, perhaps even economically, that would be a good thing. But it's something for you and your son to talk about. I don't know the details of the situation, but that can be a very good thing if that can work out.
Well, he is in my grandchildren's life because I have 3 in total. Like I said, he could be here all week. The man could really be here all week, you know, with my kids out there and whatever, you know. But it's like, I've seen that my ex-husband, he tries to buy my grandchildren with money. And that's what I told my kids, like, your dad is doing something totally wrong. I go, because you don't win somebody's love like that.
Well, you know what? He may not win the love of his children, but he might win the love of his grandchildren with money. Believe me, they're going to have that could create a very special bond. Maybe it comes out of guilt, maybe it comes out of whatever. So, you know, being a generous grandfather, he's showing love in the way he knows how, which is to give the money. Hopefully he can give some guidance and pass on some wisdom and help understand the family history, whatever. But children can be bought to some extent. Unfortunately, you give them the toys and you give them this and that, they will have a very positive attitude towards you.
You know what?
And I'm not saying it's right or good. I'm just saying that's how it works.
You know, and that what you're saying, you know, yeah, it is true. But, you know, unfortunately, my grandchildren, they're not like that, doctor. Like, for reals, like, he could come with all these toys, clothes and stuff. And they're like, okay, thank you. But that's about it. Like, they won't hug him or nothing. And my partner now, like, my kids could play with him. My kids could tell him, here's a lollipop. You want something to drink. And they don't do that with their grandpa.
Okay. I got it. So really, the man in your life now really is like a father figure. Yeah. I got it. So they already have somebody. He's more of a father. He's more of a grandfather. That makes total sense. And so this other person, I understand. That makes sense. Total sense.
I feel very bad because my grandson that's 5 years old, like, he's confused. He told me the other day, I thought Gabby and Ali's dad was your dad. I said, no. I said, that's their dad. That was my husband before. And then he's like, so who's Mando? I said, that's my husband now. I said, you don't understand right now, Papa. I go, because you're small. But once you get a little bit bigger, it will be explained to you in a different way, maybe that you could understand it. But you don't understand right now.
Well, let me put, excuse me for interrupting you because I want to add something for you. You know, and this may not be possible, but if your husband now, the man in your life, if he was to establish a friendship with your ex, I'm not saying it's possible. I'm not saying he would want to do it. I'm not saying your ex would want to do it. But if there was a friendship, if that's possible, that alliance could be helpful. But it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare to happen.
That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Okay, so that answers. When my ex remarried, and I had 4 children with her, I reached out to her. I reached out to her husband. We had lunch together. We talked. I said, you'll be with my kids even more than I am because they're up in San Francisco. And that worked pretty well. 3 months later, he calls and asks me out for lunch because they were getting divorced. He said, he didn't know what happened. So we talked, and I helped console him as he was going through his divorce from my ex. And she had a good sense to not marry again because she wasn't really marriage material. But not everybody's marriage material. Not everybody. In fact, a lot of people are really not. But that was a good alliance. And my wife and I, 34 years now, we have 2 children together, and she has 1 from her ex. Well, her ex and I are friends. And I would say even good friends. We see each other pretty often. And we've been able to coordinate different things about raising his son, my stepson. And my stepson just loves me tremendously and loves him tremendously. But that's probably pretty rare.
You know what? It is pretty rare. That's never going to happen in this situation.
I understand. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That was powerful what you shared. And you know what? It helped a lot of people by sharing it.
Yes, thank you. It's just been I just don't know. I don't hate the man, but the feelings that I had for him, they're not there no more. But it just gets me very upset of just the whole situation, and I feel like I'm still living in grief.
Here's what you have to do. I'm going to tell you what you have to do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One, if he hadn't left you, you would never have met the great man you're with now.
Exactly.
That's number 1. So I would say, I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. I'm not saying it's going to make that grief go away, but the way of honor demands you do that. And it helps balance the negative thoughts. You can't help having that grief. You didn't choose it. It's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
I release you to your destiny and I wish you well.
Okay.
And thank God you left me, because look at the man I have now.
Yes.
Drug addicts are not for a marriage relationship. It's just tormenting for people.
Yes, it was just very exhausting. The last year I was with him, it was too exhausting, even for my kids.
But I would say, I would make this statement: thank God you left me, even though you're hurting or you still feel some grief. Thank God you left me, because I have such a great man now.
Yes.
So that's a wonderful thing. He did you a favor, because he was going to torment you for the rest of your life with that drug habit.
Yes, he was.
So it was a kindness, believe it or not. It's a real kindness for you that he left.
Yes.
It would have been torture. I mean, just torture, because most true drug addicts love their drug much more than they love any human being.
Yes, unfortunately. He did show me that. He showed me all his true colors when all of this happened. Like, he showed me everything. Me and my children went through so much.
Yes, you did.
So much.
But I don't want you, but it didn't destroy your ability to have a beautiful relationship, much better relationship. It didn't destroy your ability to trust, because look at the relationship you have now. Keep in mind, you should just say, and thank you for leaving me so that I can have, what's the name of your husband now?
Armando.
Armando. Thank God you left me. Now I have Armando. Thank God you left. I would just say that to yourself. I'm not saying the grief will go away, but the goal is to balance it with these honorable thoughts, constructive, positive, honorable thoughts. You balance it.
Yes.
We're not trying to make it go away. It's not your fault you're having those negative thoughts, those negative feelings. You can't help that. But you balance it with What's the best true story I can tell myself about this? Well, I got Armando. Wow, this has worked out well. I release you,
Yes.
and I release you to your destiny. I wish you well. Uh, and I'm sure that tragedy, that's what it was. Well, marrying him was a tragedy. His leaving was a mercy. But I know it feels like leaving you was a tragedy, but marrying you was a tragedy. Leaving
Yes.
you was
Yes, it was.
leaving
It was.
leaving you was a mercy. Do you believe in God or not?
Yes.
Okay. Well, God was merciful to you. That's the grace of God that he went. Because I can tell you love Armando. I realize it's still that grief, but you love Armando. And your children love him and he loves them. You're a very lucky woman. Very lucky.
Thank you. Yes, and you know what? I do appreciate my kids and everything because my kids they respect this man a lot.
Now
They
that
really
is
do.
unusual when another man comes in. That's unusual, and that's a gift. That's a gift.
Yes. They really do, like they really respect him and he respects my kids too,
You know,
you know.
you're a beautiful human being. You're married to a beautiful man, and we all have our imperfections, but he seems like a beautiful, wonderful person, and
Thank you.
and he has a loving heart. The man, I can tell, has a very loving heart and a generous heart. I can tell, very generous man.
You know what he is?
I know.
He
I could
is.
size it up just like that. I'm 83. I finally know what I'm doing. Yeah, just like he's a
Yes.
very generous, loving man, kind, and an honorable man.
Yes.
So you hit the lottery.
Thank you.
You hit the lottery. Uh, you married the other man for wrong reasons. Maybe you were just attracted to him. I'm sure he had some good qualities, but he wasn't an honorable man. That's dangerous to be with a person that's not honorable. Dangerous.
Yes.
They either leave over drugs or having an affair with somebody or something.
Yeah, there was also domestic violence.
Yeah.
I put up with this man for I was with him since I was 19 years old. He was 27. He was older than me.
Well, the domestic
But
violence, the drugs, it all goes together. Infidelity, infidelity,
yes, it
violence,
does.
and domestic violence. That's pretty much the trio, the deadly trio.
Yes. And like I say, well, thank God I'm not in that relationship, but I just don't understand why the grief is still there. Like
Well,
I just
you know what it tells me about you, Georgina? It tells me a lot about you. It says to me that you love deeply, profoundly, and you form a strong connection. Once you have a connection to somebody, once you give yourself to somebody, you're all in. And that's now you're giving that to Armando. That tells me what a powerful woman you are, that you can give that. That a lot of people can't give that kind of connection. No. You're able to do that. I can tell you give your man everything that you have to give.
yes,
I
I
know,
do.
I know, I can feel it, and
Yes.
that's rare.
Well, that's my little story, doctor.
Well,
Thank
your
you.
little
Thank you
story
so much.
is a universal story. There's so many lessons and insights. So when you get this video, it'll be on the honortherapy.com, or I'll be sending it out to people. Just be watching it. You'll be hearing what you had to say, the contributions you've made, and also you'll have my remedies on there to keep reviewing and using.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Georgina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
For anybody else who would like to make a comment or ask a question, please feel free to do so.
Hi, Dr. Nerenberg. This is Catherine Martinez.
Catherine, welcome, Catherine.
Hi, thank you. So I just wanted to share like a little bit of a comment in regards to your teachings that you mentioned so far in the video of basically like letting go that person in a past relationship. And at first, it was my first relationship. It was someone I met at a previous hospital. I grown like a really close connection with him. However, it didn't end so well because we had to split both our ways. And I wanted to like do revenge like for like a year and a half, but as I like didn't contact him anymore and we just went our separate ways, I couldn't help but feel a little bit sad still and like missing him. But I took into what you mentioned earlier, just letting them do their own thing
I
while
release
also
you to your
focusing on
destiny, and I
myself.
wish you well.
So I'm getting a little bit stronger mentally with that, but I just can't help but still miss him. And I hate the fact that we don't have that constant communication anymore of at least having a friendship.
Pretty hard to be friends after a romantic relationship. It can happen, but it's very, very rare. Very rare. I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well. You formed I can tell already that, Catherine, you form a strong connection. You love deeply. And that's the price of being able to love. There's a lot of pain in loving, a lot of pain in loving.
Right.
And that's the price of love.
Mm-hmm.
But,
It was,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it was also hard too because he had narcissistic personality traits. And part of the reason why it kind of drifted apart and I felt that abandonment from him was he was kind of being secretive, like barely within a month and a half of the relationship, and spending more time with another woman that we all worked with. And I would see like her name pop up when we were out on dates. And so he tried to make me like that I was overreacting. And I think he purposely was just trying to do every little thing just so that I can quit and leave the relationship. So when I did that, he made me be like the villain in the end of the story.
Well, first you have to understand narcissism. If somebody's a full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, I'm not saying it was a full-blown disorder, but to the extent that they have these traits, you only exist for one reason, only one reason. That is to serve their needs. Your reality doesn't matter. Who you are doesn't matter. And these can be very likable, personable people, charismatic even. But you're only there because you're to serve his needs. And if you haven't served this one, that one, he's going to do that. The world is, all these fruits around. He wants to just pluck the fruits, enjoy it, and then discard the core, just discard it, discard the people. Not uncommon. Happens actually a lot. That's a common dynamic. I mean, every male wants sex, but a man will stay faithful. What separates a male from a man is honor. And honor, a male who's truly a man will not act out on that and will be loyal, faithful, and giving to you. Even though some other urges may hit him at times, he will deal honorably with it. And he was not that man, not at this time, not at this age. So it takes a long time for most people. How old was he?
So at the time I met him, he was originally 25 years old.
Oh, he was a kid. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Most males don't even begin to form in terms of manhood until about 40.
Right. It is kind of ironic though, when I started to work on myself a little bit more and I started to move up in like the company at a different hospital and everything. He kind of noticed that, and it was funny. I noticed that he wasn't giving me eye contact, like he was embarrassed and ashamed. So I thought that was very ironic, but eventually my whole goal later on is that we can come back to that friendship at least, to where he can at least message me here and there, but
you know what? When you have another man in your life, he's not going to want that. He's not going to like you having a connection to him. I mean, it might be a friendship in your mind, but to him, it could be a friendship, maybe with the hope of having sex once in a while. You never know. A man in your life that's in love with you, a normal male, is not going to like it. So it's carrying some baggage with you. Do you have another man in your life now or not yet?
Oh, no. I haven't been dating since, because he totally, I think, like, kind of took that chance away from me. But aside from wanting that revenge and going after him and making him jealous, I thought, you know what better way to just continue working on myself and meeting my educational needs and hanging out with friends.
That's excellent. How old are you now?
So I'm 23 right
Oh,
now.
you're very young. You know, a lot of people go on the dating apps. Now, the apps are typically not the best way. You know, Timber and other ones, Bumblebee, whatever. But they have some websites where, like Match and eHarmony, you have to pay for it to be a member. And you want to put on there, I'm looking for a deep, genuine, honorable man with the possibility of marriage. Once you match your marriage, some guys just disappear. But anybody who responds to that is going to say, I'm interested in that.
Mm.
I wouldn't go to the apps. I would go to these websites where you can spell all that out. Well, when the time's right for you. But you don't want to be carrying the baggage with this guy with you. In your mind's a friendship, and the man in your life, past lover.
Right. It's just hard to let go because he was the first person that I actually went on dates with and everything. It was just that whole experience. That's
Kind of like a first love.
yes.
Yeah, very hard. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. You can't help having those other thoughts and feelings. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. And that's, all you can do is balance it. I'm not saying that attachment goes away. I'm just saying that's the honorable thing of to be adding that thought.
Right.
And thank God you didn't have children with him. You didn't own property with him. So what are going on? This man is a problem. He doesn't sound marriage material.
No.
And you would have suffered a lot. Again, it's a kindness that he left you, a kindness, or kindness that it didn't work out. He was young. Again, no children, no property settlements, no big course thing that you have to go to court. This is a blessing. But I hear the pain associated with it. I'm not trying to deny the pain. I'm just saying you need to look at it as a blessing as well.
Right. No, and that's what I appreciate too. And the only thing that I had to sort out right away, was just belongings. That was it. Like he wanted to hold on to my belongings for the longest time, would make excuses. And my mom was like, you need to get on it because she's like, you need to make him just drop it off at the house. He just wants to see you again. None of that. So I made him come to the house and he wanted to keep chit chatting with me. I'm like, no, where's my stuff? Like, that's it. We're done.
That's the correct way to go. And then the correct way internally is I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. And at some point you want to be able to tell yourself the best true story about that. One of the best true stories about that is, thank God it ended before you had property and children together. That's the good news. It's still tragic, but that's the good news. That's one of the best true stories about that situation. Well, you're going to be doing fine. You've got a great attitude. You have from what I'm hearing, you have a good career in front of you. You'll be fine. You're going to do well.
Right. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for speaking up.
You're welcome.
Bye for now. Yeah, Hugh.
I went through a really, really nasty divorce
Went through a nasty divorce.
and betrayal.
Betrayal. Who betrayed who?
She betrayed me.
Oh, okay.
And you really have to find some way of just letting it go.
Yeah.
It can eat you apart if you don't.
Yeah, he was saying you need to find anyone in that situation needs to find a way to let it go, otherwise it could eat you up. And that's what the teaching I'm giving you. I release you to your destiny and I wish you well. And you look, and the best true story for him is he eventually met the love of his life, Cheryl. So it helped prepare him for really appreciating who she was and is, given or he saw how bad things could be out there. So that's some of the best true stories for you, Hugh. And that suffering, I'm sure, has made you more compassionate and understanding other people when they go through that.
That's why I'm saying it, so that the people watching or listening can understand that you can reach a point where you let it go and it doesn't overwhelm you.
Yeah, he was just giving hope, wanting people to have hope about a better future after this. Thanks, Hugh. Anybody else have anything you want to ask or say? Well, it's been my pleasure to be here with you, presenting the best way to deal with being left and abandoned in a romantic relationship. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful to have had this time with you.
The sea of destiny is in your deepest struggle. God's will and mine be one, and I wish you well. You are co-creator, respectfully real. There's a way in the valley that turns weakness to steel. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow. I pledge my love all the days of my life. I pledge my soul to all that is good. I pledge my heart to my brothers and sisters, who I join in the light, leave a legacy of honor. We're known through all eternity, from strife we gain power, clothed in grace and love, disciples of honor. All the days of our lives refuse the way of shame. We wish nobody harm, have no one to blame. Your high calling will be done, and pure eyes now glow. In darkness crave the good, like waters from the desert flow.